Hi, good afternoon. Welcome. This week has moved pretty swiftly for us, so I can't believe we're already here, Wednesday, January the 6th. Good afternoon. Happy New Year. Good to see you. January the 6th already into this new year. So I'm waiting for others to join in. Usually I get started around 12:35. But if you haven't been with us before, this is just a quick chat to provide some midweek motivation and encouragement for anyone really. But I specifically talk about security and also entrepreneurship. So if this is your first time joining in, thank you so much for doing so. Hi, good to see you. Good to see you. Thanks so much for joining in. Just to let you know that I usually get started around 12:35. We have a few minutes left, but I see those waves. Good to see you. Thanks so much for joining in today. January has been swiftly moving along. We're already at January the 6th. So I pray that you are staying productive, that you're staying encouraged. This is what this is all about. So thank you so much for joining in. This is something that's a little bit different, just to see a side of the of course the company, but also me as a CEO, and giving you some connecting with you in a different way. So I got the news that you moved to South Street. Oh, well, yes, we have been at that location since September. We've shifted our headquarters, and yes, so if you want to stop by, say hello. We are observing COVID restrictions at this time, so it is appointment only, but thank you for noticing. It's been quite the experience, and it's been great so far, so thank you for mentioning that. And yes, once again, we're just doing this. This is a midweek motivation, some encouragement, also connecting to those who follow the business as yourself and follow the brand, providing you with some information, some tips, of course, about safety, but also a different side to safety, some concepts, some ideas that we don't necessarily talk about in the realm of security. If you know Prime Legacy, if you joined us before, this is a brand that is certainly unique and different, and we've approached security in not only a safe but a smart way. This is something that we pride ourselves on, of course, with all of our core values: the integrity, the integrity, the growth, the ambition, all those things that we just pride ourselves on. And I encourage you to get to know the business a little bit more, the brand a little bit more by going to our YouTube page, where our core values are listed, along with some other videos with safety tips and tricks, and just information that we can all use during these times. Things that we've been able as a company to bring to the forefront in person, but now we have, everything seems to be shifting online now, and you're able to join us in this journey and also receive the not only the information that we provide in person, or the service that we provide in person, but also some other views. All right, thank you so much for joining in today. If this is your first time joining in, once again, welcome. I do this midweek Wednesday live legacy lunch, just to give you some encouragement, just to talk about some subjects about security, or just some life in general that may, open up your minds, open up your perspectives a bit in terms of what's going on in the world around us. So thank you all for joining in again. And today's topic is, actually, if the setting looks a little bit different, I'm actually at my home office. So as an entrepreneur, I tend to move from place to place, and sometimes I just have to see what fits. So, and also during COVID, there are a lot of us who are actually working from home. So this may not look too far-fetched than what your surroundings are at this moment. So you have those working from home, and also I do want to acknowledge those who are working on the front lines, especially our security officers. Not too long ago, we were able to recognize some of our, we call them COVID champions or quarantine champions, who were out on the front lines during the lockdown and providing security services for all across the city, across the state. And I do want to acknowledge them as well, and also our frontline doctors and nurses and health professionals, all those who are not only putting their lives on the line, but they're making sure that others who are experiencing, any health hardships or challenges, that their needs are getting met as well. So just a reminder, we are still in this. COVID is still real. There are cases every day, and I want to make sure to, no matter if you're working from home or on the front lines, that you are being acknowledged for the strength, the courage that it takes to keep moving in 2021. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and talk about the idea of ownership. And when I think about ownership, there's of course, there's a little twist to it in terms of perspective, coming from the securities perspective. But I think of it as in material ownership. So of course, the paperwork, the partnerships, the team development, the things that you actually, own. In terms, if you're an entrepreneur or if you are someone who's working in development of content and criteria, working within an organization for development purposes. So that material ownership, that's one part of it that I think of. Then I think about the actions you take, the ownership of the actions that you as a person take. Meaning, how do you wake up in the morning, and how do you assert yourself in the world? How compassionate are you when you go to your place of employment, or go to a restaurant, or go to a store? How well do you treat others? And what is the ownership that you have in your actions? And another piece of that I'll talk about in a second is also how do you allow things to affect you as a person? How do you own your response to this thing called life? All right, and the last thing that I think about is representation. Ownership of your representation. What type of legacy do you want to leave in this life? And then how, of course, life isn't about what other people think, and it's honestly about the ownership of the space that you decide to take up in life. So if I could think about, once again, the idea, the concept of ownership, I'm thinking about material ownership, thinking about the actions, the ownership of your actions, and then also representation, the ownership of your representation. And before I get into that in more depth, I see that there's some questions here in the chat. So someone's asking about hiring for armed officers on freeze during the pandemic, rather. So there has been, depending on locations, hiring freezes. For us, as a company, we were able to adapt and we were able to hire armed and unarmed officers. So to answer your question, yes, there for a moment there seems to have been a freeze because everyone was trying to figure out exactly what was going on and how to shift and move and be able to employ and hire. But I hope that answers your questions. I really hope that you're able to, if you're not working with Prime Legacy, to go ahead and apply. Now, another question in the chat is, when did you know you wanted to enter the world of entrepreneurship? And that is Interesting question, because I don't think that always knew. I think circumstances and opportunities that I took in life sort of led me into that path. So it's not necessarily something I chose, but it kind of chose me. And security wasn't the only thing that I developed in sort of a leadership position or entrepreneur type position in. So all I have to say to that is that I took advantage of the opportunities that were presented to me. I made the best out of the situations. I gained the knowledge and the intel and made the right connections and partnerships with those who were in alignment with the long-term goals that I had in life, which included entrepreneurship. So I hope that answers your question. Thank you so much. There's someone here, Grace Ann Hector. Thank you so much for thanking us as a security firm, and we would like to thank all of our supporters and those who have joined us in this journey, followed us in this journey, especially during COVID and all the transitions and pivots that we've had to take as a company. So going back to the topic of ownership, remember, like I said, I'm thinking of it as in material ownership with paperwork, the ownership of the actions that you take as a person, and the ownership of the representation and the legacy that you'd like to leave in this thing called life. So if you're someone like me who's been an entrepreneur for over 10 years, time is flying. I was just talking about that as we're already in January the 6th. So in terms of ownership, if you would like to be an entrepreneur, I say preparation is key. There's nothing like being presented with an opportunity and not being prepared. So even before I even opened the company, I had things, my paperwork with the state already done, brochures, website, cards, tapping into the network that I had already built a reputation in, so that when the opportunity was there was no second guessing. There was no questioning, hey, this is the company that we would like to go with. So make sure when you have that material, ownership in mind, that you take it seriously. Even if the vision isn't plain or isn't clear, have those things at least concrete and established before you jump into any other sort of opportunity. And if you're working with a partner, make sure that you and your partner are on the same page about that. And if it's something where your partner is better at the paperwork than you are, then maybe that's their responsibility. And maybe you have the responsibility of marketing and networking or getting people trained for my purposes in security, getting people trained to do the job, right? Maybe that is your forte. So sort of lay out what everyone's task is if you are working with a group or with a partner, so that things actually get done, right? Taking ownership of the craft, taking ownership of the business so that when the opportunity arises, you are ready, even if you don't see it happening right away. Now, let's see. The next part is your actions, taking ownership of your actions. The very first legacy lunch, I spoke of how do you wake up in the morning, right? And that can take a toll, take an effect on how your whole day, week, month, year goes, and how you wake up in the morning. So with that being said, have that care for yourself. Prepare. Have your clothes ready. Have that coffee ready. Wake up and exercise if you need those endorphins to really, get your blood pumping and get your attitude right. If you need to take vitamins, if you need to pray, I personally use prayer as a way to get my mind focused and ready for the day. Exercise as well. And then also in the ways that you assert yourself in the world, think about how you're affecting others. I always encourage doing some sort of volunteer work. And volunteer doesn't always mean being in person at a soup kitchen, or making a monetary or some sort of physical donation. A lot of times volunteer work is about the time. So if you are able to be a part of an organization that mentors children, or part of an organization that mentors even peers, people your age that may be going through certain things or need guidance, and maybe you have some sort of expertise in something, I encourage mentorship as a way of volunteering. I really hope that you kind of get the idea of where I'm going with owning your actions, what you do, how you wake up, how you walk into the world. And then the next part is owning your reputation and representation. There are a lot of us that get caught up in the idea of what maybe your field is about. For me, security has been a very what's the word, black and white sort of path. Okay, there are those who have certain expectations when it comes to security, and that could be, it could be, it is a strictly male-dominated field, but clearly, I'm not male. It can also be a field where you don't see many people of color, and here I am, a woman of color in this business. So clearly, the representation is something that I have owned in terms of the excellence that has been provided, and letting the work speak for itself, and disregarding what the traditional ideals of what this profession in this field has offered. And I'm seeing something here. I'm honestly thinking about coming on board with you all. Everyone appears to conduct themselves on a different breed of professionalism. Thanks so much for that. Sometimes people are afraid to own how unique they are, and what they bring to the table in terms of their professionalism. And you shouldn't be afraid of it. Once you finally own what you bring to the table, that's when things start to open up. And that is one of the biggest lessons that I have learned in this business so far, and in general as an entrepreneur. Ownership of what I say, how I conduct myself, the expectations of those who I hire, and how they conduct themselves, and not being afraid to do something different, to be something different. Thank you so much. I'm trying to kill it out here. I am trying to, young minority woman killing it. Thank you. Ownership is a beautiful thing. Like I said, being able to finally decide who you are and what your purpose is, and what you like to offer in this world, and how you like to walk in this world. I'm sharing these stories, and I'm sharing this to provide the encouragement for anyone who is searching for what ownership means to them. Right. So I've given you some examples of, materially what that looks like in a paperwork sense, in an organization sense, whether you would like to be an entrepreneur or someone who is working within an organization and development. And then you have your actions that you take and how you decide to walk in the world. I told you I got into this business because I was presented with opportunities, and I made the most out of them. Not every opportunity is going to give you the money that you need at the time. I've come from circumstances where I had 3 jobs at one time, but all served a purpose, whether that be education or networking, or just, immersing myself in something that I knew was going to be long term. So sacrifice is a part of ownership. And then representation. Once you've made those sacrifices, once you've made the decision to own who you are and what you would like to do, that is going to be the ticket to success. That is going to be the way that you have others believe in your work. That you are able to develop a team that is working with you to build and succeed and grow into what your mission and your goal is with a company or with any sort of goal that you have in life. I really appreciate the time that we've spent today. And thank you so much for the feedback. Not only am I here to encourage you, thank you for encouraging me. This has been an awesome experience so far, and I'm seeing that the conversation growing. So don't be afraid to share this with any of your friends. Have them join in on the conversation, just to see what we're about as a company, but also me as an entrepreneur. And I don't think I introduced myself, Tasha Plaza, as an entrepreneur, and start to build the connection, start to build the conversation. Don't be afraid to check us out online on our various platforms, Facebook, YouTube, of course here on Instagram. This digital world is something different for us, and I'm thinking it's the direction that we're of course all headed in because of the circumstances of the world. And what I encourage you to do is take ownership and make that a priority as far as who you are in this world. Identify how unique you are and what you bring to the table, and when you identify that, the world is going to open up. Thank you for your time. Stay safe out there. Of course, that is the overarching message. The message that we're trying to provide here is to stay safe, keep your mind, your body, and your spirit all safe, and stay encouraged, continue to motivate others, and as I hope that I've motivated you today. Thank you and be blessed. Have a great week, and I'll see you next week. Bye.